All right, everybody, welcome back to another video with SirLucien Gaming. We're here on a Thursday night, a busy role-playing night on Thursday, so thanks for stopping by. If you're here, I realize there's lots of shows that you might be able to watch out there, and it's cool that you've stopped by for ours. I see Indoor Adventure was here a little bit, so that'll be cool. And this is going to be our Seeking Revonar game, our mega campaign, West Marches style, Dungeons & Dragons 5e. I hope you enjoy it. We've got some returning players, we've got some new players, and we're about to meet them in just a second. So this is a game that I'm developing that is basically a mega campaign where lots of different groups can play. So a lot of different groups can go and adventure, and as they do different things, they can affect the world map that they're all in. Same timeline, same world, all those different things. And that's what tonight's game is going to be about. So we'll go ahead and meet our players tonight and see how everything is going. So let's go ahead and jump in. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and go around and we'll talk to our players first, and then we'll jump into Roll20 for our audience, and we will show them the map and where we're going to start, because we always start our adventures over at the lovely coin inside Port Bastion. So starting off tonight, looks like I have up in my top left corner, hopefully it's not transposed on the screen there, is we have Ardreth. I'll let him go ahead and introduce himself any way he wishes, and then if you want to just go ahead and introduce your character, and again, probably character look. I know we did this on, some of you had to do this the week before, but that's okay. You never know who's new in the audience, and the players that are here that are new, they'll want to know what you look like also, in case they didn't get to see that episode. So, and I'm going to let him talk in just a second. If you missed any of our episodes, you can go to my Twitch channel and watch the VODs, which you're here watching right now, or you can see them on YouTube to catch up later on. But let's get to that. So, Ardreth, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and the character you're playing tonight.
So, myself, been playing with Lucian, I think, for 18 months now?
Yeah.
Storm King Thunder. Known him in real life for close to 20 years now. Don't have any Twitch or any other stations like that. Just do this for fun. So playing Faik Alatar tonight. He is an Earth Genasi barbarian. So known for his scimitar and shield and 3 javelins on his back, which while they look tough, he hasn't managed to hit anything with them except a wall, which he did some damage to the wall as well as the javelin. This week, a little bit of a difference. So Araval and Klaus will notice that Faik's plate's a lot fuller than it has been in previous weeks. While last week he was eating crumbs and stealing food from others, this week he seems to be gorging himself a little bit more on the food in front of him. His coin a little lighter from the take they had last week. Faik, as an Earth Genasi, his skin is brownish, almost looks dirty kind of clay. He does have cracks in his skin, which emit a little bit of a light, as well as war paint that's also fluorescent on him. So that's Faik.
All right, awesome. And over on my right-hand side, I believe top right camera, we should have Azer, correct? I'll have to remember everybody's name, so bear with me.
Yep. Not much to say about myself. Not promoting any Twitch channels or anything like that. Just another player. But as for Iravel, he is a Shadarkai elf, wizard, and very, very pale appearance, very almost corpse-like, with gray hair, and although it's not old gray hair, it's just the color gray, and kind of wiry build, dresses about what you'd expect for a typical adventuring wizard. Nothing out of the ordinary there.
Yes, he had quite the adventure last time, and in fact, in game terms, your adventure was probably somewhere around 8 or maybe 9 days ago, and this is when your next adventure will be taking off. And what's really cool about this adventure for this week, in real time for our campaign, a week goes by, and then in game, 2 weeks go by, just so I can try to keep the timeline somewhere relevant. But this might get like a movie where somebody will be able to say, wait a minute, that timeline doesn't work, and you'll be absolutely right, and I'm going to claim that it's the TV timeline rule after that. But the person that put this expedition together, so the way I am labeling the episodes is by the person who organizes the expedition out into Revonar. We have Randy playing Andrid. So I'll let Randy introduce himself. You can definitely introduce yourself in any way you wish and tell us a little bit about this character you're playing. This is a new character for us. First time I get to meet him online and to play. So this would be really cool for me to meet who he's going to be playing tonight. So go ahead.
Hey, so my name's Randy or Blast Ronin, and I started following SirLucien through Saturday Morning D&D show. If you're not watching it, you definitely should. And I DM a lot, so I definitely jumped on this chance to get to play some. And today I'll be playing Andrid Li Xing. He's from the Lando show, the Empire, far east of the Sword Coast. And he's here for reasons that may come up. And he's got red military garb and 5 o'clock shadow going, and he's got 2 spears he wields and also a bundle of javelins he keeps on his back. So, Javelin Brothers, right?
Awesome. So it's good to have you. You are the expedition leader, which is super cool. Each expedition leader gets to find 3 or 4 other hardy souls to go out and tax this new land that they've all come to from somewhere over in the Forgotten Realms, and it'll be pretty fun to see how this whole thing goes. All right, so down in the center, we also have a new player for us in the Seeking Revonar campaign, and I know him so far as Scout, so, or that's the character name, Scout, and Discipline, that's right. So go ahead and introduce yourself the way you would like, and tell us a little bit about this character you're playing tonight.
Hi, I'm Wandering Disciple. I'm playing Scout. That's the only name you ever get from her. She's a woman of very few words, and she's from the north of the Sword Coast, specifically from Waterdeep, and she's here mostly at the behest of her master. She's here to just learn about the beast, study the beast, and learn all the things.
Awesome. Well, it's good to have you. It's good to have new players. That's exactly what this whole thing was about, was just me being able to connect with a lot of not only just fans, like we have with our character Andrid here, but also just anybody that heard about this out in Twitter or from other people or friends that are playing or friends of friends, that they could come on and they could play in a campaign, and then they could share stories about, hey, we went and did this cool dungeon delve down into the Dwarven Silver Mine, and the other group can be like, oh, that's cool because we went and did this one thing, and eventually maybe they'll get to play together. So hopefully it doesn't blow my mind because I'm already working overtime to keep all of this going, but we'll see how it goes. And not our final player for tonight, but definitely not our least player. He was our expedition leader from last week, is Skull Dixon, who is going to be reprising his role as Sir Klaus Kovacs. I'll let him introduce himself and his character once again to all of our players and our audience.
Hi, I'm Skull Dixon, freelance animator and storyboard artist. I will be playing Sir Klaus Kovacs, fighter and knight of the Bloody Shield, or Bleeding Shield, I'm sorry. I do streaming on Twitch and put up videos up on YouTube. However, with a name like Skull Dixon, I'm pretty easy to find using Google. So, but mostly what I stream is just me drawing stuff. So Monday mornings I do monster drawings.
Awesome, very cool. I'm definitely going to be trying to check that out. Monsters are the coolest thing to take a look. I just saw a really cool stream out there, or I guess maybe it was a YouTube video. They were doing they were drawing monsters, D&D monsters, but they were ones they'd never seen or knew anything about. So like one of the producer of the show would go out and find obscure ones, give the person the name, and then they would just try to draw it with whatever came to mind. And then at the end of it, after they got done drawing, they would show what the actual one looks like versus the one that person drew through their imagination. I thought that was a pretty cool way to think about, if you hear the word, I don't know, mind flare, but you never knew an image for it or never seen it, what would you draw as being a mind flayer. And then when you see the real one, you're like, oh, okay, I see what that is. Or maybe you get something close. So I thought that was a pretty fun thing. So that's cool that you're an artist, which I wish I was. I wish I had those kinds of talents because that would make my shows a whole lot better. But it's cool to have everybody here. Our audience is probably ready to see us jump into the adventure. So let's do that. Let's play some Dungeons and Dragons and let's get going. We should have a break or two for tonight. So bear with us as we go through those. But we see our camera kind of pan down into a very typical inn, made in the very typical way with a rowdy set of adventurers who are all over the tables, and there's drinking and food being done, and there's bards playing in the corner, and then you see this half-orc who is serving at the bar there, and she owns the bar, and all of you are very familiar with this half-orc as it is Rula, the one who owns this inn, and she was an ex-adventurer that everybody knows of and is kind of a hero of the land also, but she's retired. She's created this inn that is meant for just adventurers. You don't even see other townsfolk typically in here, and this is where the adventurers come to hear rumors and to hear and to share stories and to find more people to go out on expedition with them, and that's kind of what we see here at the. And for now, we're going to open it up in the evening. This is the night before you guys go out on your expedition. And what we have is you've been hearing some rumors about or at least Andred had been hearing some rumors about a ruin that was just recently sighted by one of the adventuring groups. He happened to overhear it, and this group was a very interesting looking group. It was a group that has, you think, a furbolg. It has a kenku, 2 dragonborns, and what you think is a Gith of some sort. Maybe a Gith Zerai or maybe a Gith Yankee. You're not sure. It might be the first time you've ever seen a Gith. And this group, you know, to be one of the groups that arrived here earlier than most, and they seemed to go out, and they had talked about when they went out to an orc camp that was an abandoned orc camp that they were going out to explore. On the way back, they happened to see this ruin. They didn't have time to stop, and that kind of piqued Andred's interest, and he decided that he would gather some other like-minded adventurers and maybe go out and see what this ruin might be. And what's cool about this is inside the Lovely Coin, which is the name of the inn, is a enormous table that is set out in the center of the inn. And all the adventurers carve into this like full-on relief map of the area. And when somebody finds something new, or they find a new piece of information, or they find a new ruin, or they find a new structure, maybe it'd be a temple or a shrine or whatever it might be, they mark it on this table. And so this table has been carved with the surrounding area. You can see the hills and the cliffs and the beaches and the forests and the volcano and Spider Mountain. All this stuff is marked out on this table, all carved out by these players, or all by these adventurers. And so as you're looking at it, Andred was able to look at the table and see that there was an orc camp to the kind of the north and a little bit to the west of Port Bastion, and that the ruin was not too far from that, so it seemed like it would be something interesting to go check out. At some point over the last few days, he was able to put out the word, and he was able to bring to his cause Aravel, Faik, Sir Klaus, and Scout to go ahead and take a look at this and see what it might be. But you couldn't really find out any other information about it. You asked a few other people. You asked the local town scouts who do go out and scout the area to make sure they have a kind of a good handle on what's around the town at any given time, because it is a dangerous world out there, and many adventurers don't come back. But it doesn't seem like anybody has seen this or anybody had been there before, so you've not found out any additional information except where you think it is. So I think that's, and what we see tonight is maybe the gathering of your group at a table to finalize your plans, to introduce your party to each other, as Andred has probably spoken to each of you individually, but has not brought you together yet. And then we will bring you together. We'll do that really quickly here, and then we will flash to starting out our expedition in the morning. But let's keep going with, as we're sitting at the table and Andred has invited these hardy warriors and hardy heroes to show up. So Andred's probably already there. Tell us a little bit as you got there, Andred. Tell us again about like what your clothing looks like, and do you have your weapons on? Are you in town clothing? Are you in armor at this point the night before? What's your character doing?
Yeah, I would say for this this meeting, he always keeps a pair of spears close by, but he's probably got just his walking around clothes on. They're of nice make, well kept, but also well traveled, and he's definitely gathered this group here, hearing that some of them have already ventured out once before, and being someone who's patrolled a lot in the past, he knows that there is benefit in taking out people with you that have knowledge of the land.
Awesome. And then while waiting there, would you be eating, drinking, or just kind of stoically sitting while you're waiting for your companions?
He's probably got some water going, abstaining from the other spirits available.
Awesome. Okay. So there's revelry going around. There's plenty of other hardying adventurers, and this place is filled with adventurers of all shapes, sizes, races, and you can see all kinds of different equipments and nationalities, and they're probably from different tribes and different nations and different areas, and it's a very eclectic, very water deep kind of place where it's just brought people from all over to come to this place to seek their fortune. Who would be the first one to meet up with their leader tonight as they have finished up their whatever they were doing for the day and then head over to hang out with Andred?
That
like,
would
no.
probably be there at the center table, the map table, studying it, transcribing onto her own little booklet of sheets of parchment that she has, where she draws her own maps.
Awesome. And tell us a little bit about the clothes and the equipment that you're wearing currently.
In our off time, scouts, her plain clothing, anything that makes her look like the common man, nothing that stands out too much. Usually something with a hood to kind of shadow most of her face and stuff. Tries to keep her hair tied up as much as she can, and usually always she has at least one. She always has at least 2 daggers on her.
Awesome. All right. And so, do you wait for others to go join that table, or do you just kind of stay on the outskirts until the end, or do you go, now that you see Andred is there, do you head over?
If she's done transcribing the map as it stands, then yeah, she'll just kind of glide her way there unobtrusively and just plump herself down next to Andred, not really say anything.
Okay. And, Andred would have had talked to you. You probably had already realized that this was a person of few words, but was willing to follow your leadership out into Revonar. So you see Scout take her seat after she has been over near the big map table, updating her maps. Who would be next to come into the inn or come down from the rooms?
I can come down.
All right,
So-
Fahik.
Faik is actually living in the inn, so starts to come down the stairs in a similar approach. But the others haven't seen this yet, only Aravel and Klaus. So as Faik comes down the stairs, you see 2 tree trunk-like legs start to come down. Faik's dressed in browns and grays and a little bit of green in his clothing. Comes down and you see legs, and when you think you'll see a torso, you don't. You continue to see more legs. Faik bends to come down underneath the ledge in the stairwell, and as he comes to the ground, he's kind of scraping the ceiling. He's 6'8", weighs about 230 pounds, well-built, sturdy. His walk seems to carry a little bit more sound than the mass that you actually see. Walks over to the table, sits down, looks at one of the barmaids, orders 2 beers this time, and a full plate of food, and says hello to both of the new companions, and then just kind of dives into the food, which he seems much more interested in than conversation at this point.
Awesome. I'll let I assume, but you guys can jump in. Do Scout or Andred reply in any way?
Scout just nods and pulls out a deck of playing cards and begins shuffling.
I raise my cup to you.
I raise it back and drink.
Nice. I love it. All right, so that means still ready to make their entrance is either Aravel or Sir Klaus. Who is next?
I'll go next.
No.
Or
Yeah, they both
okay.
come in. I love it.
Yeah.
Three Stooges, we collide in the doorway.
That'd be really funny, but no. So, time of day was it? It's morning.
It's evening.
Right?
It's evening.
It's
this
evening?
one. Yeah, it's evening. The night before you guys are going to go on your expedition.
So Sir Klaus, dressed in his checkered tunic of black and white, looking as tired and haggard as usual, comes in into the inn after a long day of helping the citizens of this fair town.
Yeah,
Catches the eye, Port Bastion. Thank you. Catches the eye of one of the waitresses, asks for a beer before heading over to the table. Once there, he extends his arm out to the 2 strangers, saying, Andrin, of course, extending his arm towards him first, and says, I am Sir Klaus Kovacs. I hear that we will be sauntering in the morning, and I, of course, am coming to keep an eye on my 2 dear friends, particularly Iravel. The last campaign we set out on almost took his life, so I like to keep him safe.
Ah, yes. Friends are important.
At the moment, he would not be wearing his chainmail, having a few days ago, of course, picked it up from the armorer in town, having it repaired from the last Sanger sortie that they've been through. However, he is wearing his working clothes plus his knight's tunic, which is the black and white checkered with the patch over the heart of the bleeding shield symbol. He's got like a kind of a bowl cut. His face is heavily scarred and broken. He's not very pretty, and he just always looks tired. He, of course, also extends a hand out towards Scout, having not met this individual quite yet either, and introduces himself as well, politely.
All right.
I'll look at his hand, look at him. You see her kind of twitch, almost as if she arms resisting the urge to salute, and reaches out and takes your hand, shakes it once, and then continues back to keeping her hands busy with her playing cards.
All right. Cool.
And with that, I turn to Fake and say, "Oh, good, you are eating."
My purse is a little heavier this week.
You should
Awesome.
have said something before. I would have paid.
All right. And with that, we have our final hero show up. Iravale, go ahead and make your entrance and tell us a little bit about the equipment you're wearing at the moment, what you look like, and then how you approach the table and how you meet your companions for this next expedition.
Very simply dressed, but wearing very nice clothes. It's kind of obvious that this is his going out to meet new people kind of an outfit where he tries to make himself very presentable. And he does have a dagger at his hip, but otherwise no weapons. And comes in through the doorway, takes a look around, takes stock of the people, realizes where everyone's sitting, and heads directly over there after waving to the barmaid to get her attention. And takes a seat, says, I see I'm the last one here. Apologize, I got a little wrapped up in my studies and didn't realize how much time had passed. Sorry to hold everybody up.
Not at all, just in time.
Muted myself there for a second. Yeah, okay. They could hear me, Indar, you guys couldn't, but they we'll let you guys go ahead and discuss like your plan, whose job is what, and I'll let you guys go from there, and then we will be ready for our expedition.
Well, I know I have no expertise. Sir Klaus has no expertise in navigation or foraging, or anything of those likes. So I am perfectly fine being the odd man out in these skill challenges, as it were.
What were the modifiers we needed again? Was it mostly off wisdom?
No, they kind of switched around a little bit. One is a survival check, one is a nature check, one is a perception check, and one is a stealth check.
I would give a 2 on survival and perception. So if there's anything that needs those 2, I'd be happy to try them.
I've
got a 4
7
to
stealth,
survival and
6
perception.
survival.
And I can add a 4 to nature and a 2 to perception. So.
All right, Andrew, it's your
Scout.
group, so you get to decide.
Scout, did you say you had plus 10 to stealth?
No, 7 stealth, 6 survival, perception is 4. If you haven't guessed from her name, she's basically a scout. That's what she was trained to do, and she's a former military. That was her rank.
Acting as the vanguard is probably the best position for her with that +7, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Or,
I think Aravel was the one that had nature.
Yeah, I have a +4 for nature, so.
Okay, and then I've got the +4 for perception. So I guess I'll keep the lookout. And Faik can handle the survival.
Right. So in role-playing terms, that is, again, we did skill challenges just for those that are listening and might be new to the show for just to kind of speed up the adventure so that we could get through that part and not have to spend a lot of time on travel and just get kind of to the meat of the adventure as soon as we could. And so it's worked out so far for the first couple of times we've used it. And there may be adjustments down the road, but so far it's been working pretty good. So we'll see some skill challenges here in just a moment. So other than that, is there any other preparations your party needs? Is there any other discussion your party needs? Is there any other equipment your party needs? Is there anything else you need to do tonight before everybody heads off to bed and then wakes up early for heading out?
Was anyone that is here with us there when they spotted the ruins?
Totally different group. Out of game, it was the Monday night group, also known as the Monster Squad, that saw this one. But nobody from here.
Well, we will just have to keep our wits about us.
This is only, what, 2-3 days out?
Yeah, and good question. The Monster Squad is currently not back yet. You had heard that they had went out on an adventure probably about a day or so ago and have not returned yet.
Okay, in that case, how much is a healer's kit? I want to see if I can get one before we leave.
It's all prices are out of the player's handbook, but you got to give me a persuasion check from your character, and if you roll pretty high, it'll be a little bit cheaper. Or if you roll high, it'll be a little bit cheaper. If you roll low, it'll be a little more expensive.
Well, you might as well just tack on the extra price because she's got a -3 or -2 to perception.
You never know.
Yeah, it never hurts to try.
It'll be the first roll of the night. It'll be good.
Yeah, -2 persuasion. All right. Yeah, she's gonna try to buy one, see if she can get it for at least 5. If she knows she can't haggle. Actually,
Hey, if it's a bad roll,
pull
it
out my
just gets
ranking
us a better
insignia
one later.
and use that to assist my persuasion roll?
Say that again?
Could I pull out my rank insignia from my time as a soldier to use that to kind of increase my chance of winning?
Yeah, I think
persuading?
with you being in a very new land and a very new town, and the adventures are mostly looked at as ways for this town to make money off of, you're more likely to get a higher price if you did that.
I see. We're pan miners in the gold rush.
Yeah, you're in a gold rush town.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. All right. I love it. You rolled a 2 twice, which was perfect, just funny. And so with the -2, yeah. So it'll be the price out of the player's handbook. And what is the price, actually? I didn't look it up. Anybody got it?
I just looked it up. 5 gold.
5 gold? Then you will pay 7 gold.
Of course.
Of course. All right. So that can happen after your dinner with your new group, and before you head in for the night, you head over to there's a couple of different adventuring stores here in Port Bastion that have general supplies and things like that. There's even a magic shop. There's weapon shops, armor shops, just about everything you can think of. Most of the stuff you've seen in Port Bastion is very expensive. But if there's anything that you do need, feel free to take care of that right now before we head out.
Could I get 2 flasks of oil?
Sure. Give me a persuasion roll and let me know what it says in the PHB for price. Ooh, 3. Okay. The town's out to make money tonight. So what was the price?
One silver each.
1 silver each. So normally you'd be paying them 2 silver, so 3 silver for the 2 this time.
Happily, and I bow deeply as I thank them for their services.
Awesome. Anybody else with any last minute shopping?
I am in the market for a Cartographers Kit.
Okay. Plenty of them here.
And that's 15 gold is the standard cost.
All right. Let's see how you can do with the town today. Hey, so you can go ahead and you get a 2 gold discount. Apparently, it's probably so that they ask a favor of that eventually if you create a map of the area that they get a copy later on, and then they cut some of the price off for you.
It's reasonable.
Awesome. Anybody else? All right, let's jump into this adventure. So the evening will go by as our group finally drifts off one by one, couple at a time. The revelry of the inn continues throughout the night, and then our travelers gather in the morning as the sun begins to rise on the east. And with their gear, they come down the stairs. And you can still see some of the adventurers that you had seen spending some of their gold still drinking from the night before. You see some new adventurers that are there having their breakfast. You see some that also maybe look like they're about to go out and on expedition too. But your group has gathered, and you begin to head to the door, and we see our very common, what is now being a very common, oh wow, it just kind of slipped out of my mind. Tradition. That's what I wanted. The word tradition. That we see as an adventuring group goes out in the morning, and we see that Rula from behind the bar sees that you're heading towards the door, sees your group, and Rula always seems to know when the adventurers are going and where they're going, and she always checks in with them when they get back. Seems to really take care of the adventuring group and keeps the information and keeps tabs on everybody. And she sees your group heading there, and then she says, "All right, you mongrels, raise your drinks for those who never return, in a moment of silence until all hands are held high in homage." And then you see everybody in the bar raises their glass, and if somebody didn't have one of the staff kind of runs around and gives them a free mug of whatever happens to be in there. They just have trays of them. And as you guys are walking to, and you've seen this a few dozen times now as you've stayed here at the Lovely Coin, and now everybody has their hand raised as the first one of you is putting your hand on the door and opening it up. And then you hear Rula say, "Oh gods and goddesses, both new and old, protect the fallen, guide the living, and smite those who are too afraid to face the beast." And when you hear the last word beast, everybody in the tavern yells out the word beast, and they hold their mugs high, and they salute you as you head out. And you guys go out into the morning mist of Port Bastion, and we see the door close on the camera. All right, so you quickly make your way through town, heading towards the northeast gate. The guards kind of see you. It's one of those wet, misty mornings, almost a fog over the harbor and the town. It's pretty warm, though. It's pretty humid, even though it must have been cold and then turned warm again. There's definitely rain on the air. It's definitely very hot at the moment and humid. As you see, and you can see the guards who see you starting to walk up towards the gates, and you hear the winding of the chains and the opening of these large gates as you pass through, and then they close behind you, and you get a wave from the guard there as you go, a friendly wave of good luck and hope to see you soon, basically, as you begin to make your way north. All right, so let's jump into our little skill challenges here. So for our skill challenge, we're going to start out with our navigation check. This should be pretty easy. Now let's go over for a moment to our map so our audience can also see our map. So we'll transition over there for just a moment. There we go. And let's bring up the map, which is in a handout for you guys. You should be able to see it. You can take a look at it at the same time. So here we are. Our Port Bastion is down here in A30, and they're going to be heading up to D25, which is this ruin here. There is a symbol on the map below that, which you have heard is the scouts of the town use this as a waypoint or a campsite when they're out and they're looking at or they're out scouting around the area. And this is one of the areas that they use for a campsite. It's about another day out. Each hex here is about a day, or 2 hexes is a day's travel, typically, unless you get lost or something happens. Or the terrain turns difficult enough that it slows you down. Over to the west, there's a mountain in the center of the forested hills, and there's a little village symbol there. That is the village of the Darklings. There's a village here that's a friendly village of Darklings. They also scout, and a lot of information comes in from them also. So they're going to be heading there. So for our navigation check, they're going to be heading 4 hexes. So that's going to matter on what we make our roll here. So, okay, so for our navigator, the person who is leading our party, who is trying to keep on as many trails as they can, though there are not many out here, I have my difficulty in mind. Go ahead and give me a survival check to see how well you do. Which I think is Fahik, right?
Oh, sorry.
16 is a success, so this is good. A success means you arrive on schedule, so it only takes you 2 days to get there. Typically, all that would have happened had he missed this is it would have taken you longer, which meant when you got back, you would have spent more to refill your supplies. So he was able to do that, so that's good. So you'll only be spending the 5 silver per day. It looks like it's going to be a 4-day trip for you. You don't get lost. It takes pretty easy to get there. So that is a good roll. And at the end, our navigator will be able to earn a little bonus XP at the end. So let me put that in my notes that he succeeded that. So give me a second. There we go. Passed. Okay, cool. Next would be our Forager. So for our Forager, who is going to be doing that one?
Is that the nature check?
Nature check, yep.
Yeah, that'd be me then.
All right. So for that, let me look at what we need here. Oh, there we go. Okay. Foraging Role. So, okay. I have the difficulty number that you will need, so you can go ahead and make your roll.
Okay.
Ooh, almost a crit. Almost really nice. Okay, so you were successful in foraging. And what foraging does is the town folk and different groups within the town, whether it's the general store, the apothecary, Belshazzar's Emporium. There's lots of things that they say, hey, while you're out there, if you see this and you collect some of it, I will buy it off of you. So most of the adventurers have a good idea of keeping their eyes out for something. And Iravel was able to find, go ahead and give me a D20 roll for me, please.
Okay.
All right, so, okay. Now give me a D100. And one more D100. $54 and 2. Perfect. So that is going to give us, okay. Yeah, there's a interesting. Okay, so this is a plant that is kind of a pinkish, yellowish, almost like a flowered plant that they, for whatever reason, has the name lung ball, B-A-L-L, so L-U-N-G-B-A-L-L. And what this is used for is they can dissolve it into a liquid form, almost like a tea form, and it allows them to help with those that have some type of problem with their voice or problem with some type of injury to the throat area. And this special plant, when prepared correctly by the apothecary, can help remedy this. So you know that when you go to gather this, and it's hard to find, you don't see a lot of it on the way, but you're able to gather enough of it that you'll be able to sell it to the apothecary for 20 gold pieces. So that's a good amount to be able to set off a little bit of the rations expenses later on. All right, so that's also a success. Doing well. Let me mark that down. Which is over here. Perfect. Got 2 more to go, and then we'll take our break. So we have our encounter roll next. I keep closing the window that I need to keep open. There it is. So our encounter roll is about moving through these dangerous woods and avoiding things so that you can get to where your mission is. You're trying to get to these ruins. That's what you want to explore. If you can avoid too much trouble, that's great, and that's what this is about. So for this, we need to set how difficult this will be. I need to know within this party how many of you are wearing heavy armor. Okay, I see 1. Any others? Okay, is there anybody wearing medium armor?
I am.
Okay, so that's 3. Anything else?
Leather
Everybody
kind
else
of
is...
medium or light?
Say it again.
Does leather kind of medium or light?
Light. All right. And then the last thing, is there any arcane casters? That would be your mages, warlocks, or wizards, warlocks, or sorcerers. So we got 1 more there, right? So a total of 4. All right. So I have my number, which is my difficulty number because it's hard with armor clanking and arcane type people reading books while they're supposed to be walking or paying attention and not being used to not stepping on sticks and kicking stones, that kind of thing. I have my number. So the person who is keeping an eye out for danger, sometimes we refer to this as like our vanguard, go ahead and give me your stealth roll.
Question: could I use my proficiency with Cartographers tools to give me advantage on this roll?
No, yeah, this is a place you've never been, and it's you normally, if you were on your own, you might be able to get it, but you're dealing with people that are making noises, and you're trying to keep them safe even amongst themselves. So in this case, it'll be a straight up roll. Good try, though.
Got it. The greater the advantage I can get.
Yeah, you always got to try.
And it's not working. Oh, there it goes. Oh, sorry. Just the first one.
Yep, that's okay. I see. Yep. Sometimes it's a little tough on the pads and stuff. So, very good stealth roll. This means that you were able to avoid any repercussions. Nothing found you or caught up with you or delayed you or anything like that. In fact, a success would be you actually meet up with, on the way there, you meet up with one of the patrols that is a Darkling patrol, a patrol of 4 Darklings. You do know from Port Bastion, and you've seen them in the inn. They come and talk to Rula quite often, and they keep her up to date of things that are further west. They're kind of a group of people who are keeping an eye out to the west before things get towards Port Bastion. You know that the history with this is that long ago, before Port Bastion was even a city at that point, it was just a camp. And these, from the story that you've heard, these Darklings were captives and prisoners of something called the Spider Queen. She used them to take over the lands in this area, and the very first set of adventurers that landed on this in Revonar successfully defeated her and freed the Darklings. And the Darklings had since then built a new village and now have a good trade relationship and a good just overall relationship with Port Bastion, which is different because if some of you have run into Darklings before, that may not have been a common type relationship to have with the Darklings. So you meet up with, let me get to that part here for just a second. Yeah, you meet a Darkling scout named Askuwetu, and I'll put it in chat for you. Oh, once I get to the right spot, I'll just copy and paste it. There we go. And we can play this out a little bit. So as these, and this is on your way out. This is after you've stayed the night at the overnight campground that's just south of where you're heading to the ruins. And you're walking through an animal trail when you see a Darkling kind of step out of the trees and actually was so well camouflaged that you probably would not have seen them had they not stepped out on purpose. So I think Scout would recognize right away that this is a person showing themselves, even though they probably could have stayed hidden and you would never have known they were there. Kind of steps out and then waves a friendly hand, but also cautious to see first how you react.
Scout will kind of pull your hands up as like, you know, we come in peace, and I've heard them come in the bar talking to
Rula.
Rula?
Yep, Rula.
Did I hear? Do they speak in their what language do they speak when they're in the bar?
You've heard them use Common, and if anybody has Sylvan, you've heard them speak words in that language. If you don't have Sylvan, then you've heard them speak a language you're not familiar with.
Cool. All right. Scout will respond in Sylvan. Hello.
Yeah, and you see her bow her head. Now, this Darkling happens to be about 4.5 feet tall, dressed in currently cloaks and almost like ranger gear or woodsman's type gear that's like greens and browns meant to blend into the natural surrounding here. Gives you a nod, speaks quietly, has a soft voice, and says, well met, adventurers. More heroes from Port Bastion, I see.
Yes. Seeking ruins north of camp.
And she looks at you kind of quizzically, and you probably catch out of the corner of your eye that there are several other Darklings that are out in the woods, but it looks like they've set up a perimeter and they're looking out as if to keep you guys safe while you're talking. And she kind of says, ruins. I was not aware there were any ruins. I've walked these lands many times. Are you sure?
Yes. No. Leader Andre gathered us to search possible sighting of ruins from what they call Monster Squad.
I think that's everybody's nickname for them, though nobody knows what they call themselves, and nobody has dared to call them that to their faces. But like around the tavern under hushed breath, that's what they get referred to as.
Is it because they're all monsters, or?
Yeah, they are all pretty.
Okay.
Well, and it's Sasha and Rom and
Gotcha.
Logan. They're all pretty much monsters. They're all real world friends of mine, also, like Brian here. Okay,
Yeah,
so go ahead.
Scout will be also kind of keeping an eye out as she talks to him. But she'll motion to Andre to come forward and kind of just introduce the two. Show Scout name.
Yeah, I'll step forward and I give a bow and say, "Hello, I'm Andre Shing, and it seems that you know these lands well. Are there any dangers we might expect to encounter?"
And she nods to you respectfully, and she says, "It's been clear, at least with the day's travel. We've been traveling these lands. We've just been coming back from the west. Thus far, most of the trouble is much further west, but if you're going north, we have not seen anything for a day or so."
Well, if we should run into you again, if we are so lucky, we will share what we find. And please let us know if there's anything we can do to aid you in the future.
Yeah, and she thanks you, and she says, "As we often will pass information to Rula, so if you need getting hold of us or wish to or seek further information, just ask Rula and she can point you to us." And then she kind of gives a whistle that sounds like a very typical bird whistle that you've heard throughout the day. And then you see the forms, several more forms that are off in the distance in the woods. Either sides of you start to move again through the woods, and they begin to head south. It looks like they're heading back towards Port Bastion. So you guys can write that down as a contact now. When you're going out on expeditions, it's somebody that you can send a message to possibly get some more information on something you might be going after. And they may have an additional piece of information that could help you on your expedition. So you guys have made an ally. So you can write that down. Each of you can call on that person now that you've met them.
And
Awesomely
they said
done.
there's nothing. They see there's nothing north of the campsite, right?
That is, yeah, she has not. She said that they had not seen anything within days to the north. All right, everybody's passed their test so far. That's good.
Before they leave, just wanted to ask the way to real quick. Teach ways.
Oh, you broke up. What was that?
She wanted to. Scott will before I ask the way to leave. Scott will be like, teach ways.
I'm not catching it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is anybody else?
Okay. Sorry. He just wants to ask whether later on they would teach her how they.
Oh,
move,
okay. I
how
see
they
what you're
do
saying.
that.
Yeah. I
Moving
gotcha.
and
Okay.
teach them their craft, basically.
Yeah, you probably could get a nod, and it could be maybe like something that's like a downtime activity later on, or it's something you could do in between expeditions. From a character standpoint, you could do, like practice with them or something like that. Yeah, so you get an affirmative nod as she then slips into the forest and disappears quickly. And all of you would be pretty impressed with how quietly they move and how well they're able to move into the shadows and disappear pretty quick. All right, so we've got one more roll we need to make. This is the person who is just keeping an eye out for any other ruins or any other things that might be more interesting to take a look at later on. Maybe not necessarily this trip. A lot of times this will be something that maybe you see on your way back, or maybe you see but it's many miles off, so you just want to mark it down and think, maybe we'll go and check it out, maybe we won't. Who is going to make that check? This would be the perception check. All right, so go ahead and give us a perception check. Now this is a straight one. Oh, kills it. Which is good because critical success. You do see a new point of interest on your way back from this adventure. So this is kind of flashing forward, assuming you guys are on the way back and nothing happens, you will see a new point of interest. And what I will do is I'll update the rumors in after this session. So it'll be in the rumor area on Discord. And you can make a decision at the end of this. You don't have to right now, but you can make a decision with your group. Do you keep this rumor to yourself, or do you share it with Rula, who then kind of it disseminates across all of the adventures that stay at the lovely coin? If you do, you get paid for that and you can earn XP for it. Or if you keep it for yourself, then that gives you the chance to be the first ones to go back and check it out. The key there is that you can never keep it secret for longer than a month. Everything always gets out in this place. Nobody knows how or why. There might be small animals that keep eyes on, adventurers, or somebody has some telepathic link or something, because nobody can seem to keep a secret longer than a month at all in this town. So you'll be able to decide that. You don't have to right now. You can talk with your group at the end of the adventure. And this, again, is on the way back is when you notice this. And I'll tell you a little bit about it when we get there. All right, we're going to go ahead and take our 5-minute break. I have 9:36 on my clock at the moment. So if everybody comes back about 9:41 or whatever it might be, is about 5 to 6 minutes on your clock. We'll be right back. For those in the audience, go ahead and stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We've got plenty of adventure to come, and we're about to get to some of the really fun action-y parts. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And we're back. Hopefully you stayed with us. Let's jump back into this. All right, so our camera opens up on, you've traveled north through the woods, and coming out of, let's go to our map a second here so we can give you a little bit of a description. Transition that over. Open up our handout. And zoom in. Perfect. So what you did notice coming out of Port Bastion was it's kind of on a plains and a beach area, though there are high cliffs off to the water. Now, to the north are these enormous mountains, and we're talking like thousands and thousands of feet mountains. This is like the Alps, or this is like the Rockies. These are big mountains. So you're in a very flat area that starts out near sea level, and then these almost like dragon teeth is what a lot of people refer to them as, just kind of shoot up, and they're jagged, pointed mountains, snow-capped to the north and to the south. So there's just this valley that seems to run between them that opens up into a deeper valley further to the west. In the plains around the town, there are some farms and ranches, and then those kind of bleed off when you start moving a little bit more northwestern, and you get into what's more like a light forest. And eventually, when you made your first camp for the first night, then it started to get into a lot deeper forest, a lot more trees and a lot more. Think of like probably like a Michigan woods, or maybe like a northeastern woods of the United States, that kind of wood. The type where it's hard to see. There's lots of bushes and other foliage. There's lots of different styles of trees. It's not just one type of forest. And that's as you begin to move north. And then you also begin to see that the more hills start to happen, and forested hills as you begin to head towards the mountains. And you're kind of looking around, as you don't really necessarily know exactly where this ruin is, but you start to get some elevation, and it feels like you went actually past it. And as you're looking back, then you recognize what looks to be like a break in the trees, and almost like a column of stone that can just barely be seen, and you realize you need to backtrack by about a half mile or so. And so you backtrack down to where these ruins are. Okay, so you're on like forested hillish area as you get there, and it breaks out a little bit when you get to this spot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move you over to another map. Yeah, perfect. And let's move our players over. Oh, and let's grab their tokens, because I bet I didn't grab their tokens yet. So let me grab your tokens and move those over.
No, myself.
All right. And let's do some resizing. Now, I've got you at the edge here, but I'm going to kind of start this as you're probably about 2 football fields north of this. You can see plenty of trees, but you see the trees begin to thin out, and then you see this column of stone of some sort, which looks to be near some raised up kind of hill portion before you get there. So I want to give you plenty of room to kind of decide what you want to do before you get there. So even though I have you right here at the edge of the map, you're actually about 200 yards north of your current position. So as the group kind of begins to see this, what do?
I pull one of my javelins out, so I keep my scimitar in its sheath and my shield as we approach, just so I'm ready to strike at anything from a distance.
Does anybody have a spyglass?
Oh, I can send my raven overhead.
Look.
So I'll go
Yes,
ahead
send a
and
raven.
summon my raven and send it to fly and scout out the area, and I'll view through its eyes.
Sweet. So tell us a little bit about, yeah, go ahead and describe it. Give us that whole scene. That'd be cool. Tell us what it looks like, how it works.
Just a little bit larger than your average raven. Out of character, I've yet to come up with a good name for him, but just looks typical, but that you can see the hint of intelligence in its eyes, and it looks at me as I explain you're going to be, not that you would ever need to, but he treats it like it's an actual pet anyway, and he explains, we're going to be approaching this area up ahead. Would you mind scouting it out for us? And if anybody knows, anybody in the group knows anything about wizards and familiars, this is entirely unnecessary. It just follows your orders. But he explains it anyway and sends the raven off into the skies.
Yeah. Just before it goes, it kind of gives you a questioning look, and it's like, you get the impression that it's asking you a question. It's like, do you want me to find food?
If I understand that look, which I imagine.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I would say no. We're looking more for enemies, anything that could pose a threat to us up ahead.
Oh, okay. And then it makes a squawking noise that you recognize as like the squawk it makes for two legs, like, looking for other two legs. Then, and he kind of is like, that's what you want him to look for, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So he flies off, and you see him fly off over, and he does a couple of circles. Probably could go ahead and do a perception check.
Yeah, let me pull up
and he's
his
probably
stats
pretty
real
good
quick.
at that. Yeah, I probably could. Let me see. Can I do this on the fly?
+3. Ooh, not good.
There, I'll be able to give you a way to use that in combat too. So for the moment, we know that that it's flying down and checking things out. So, all right, yeah. So it comes back. You see it do a couple of circles. While the rest of you see this, you're kind of also watching. You don't see anything. It comes back and it lands, and it says no. It gives the answer that you would recognize as no two legs. And then it asks you if it can go and look for food again.
I'll nod and say, yes, go ahead and fill your appetite.
Yeah, so you see it take flight again, and it's going through the trees, and it lands on a branch, and it's pecking at looking for like termites or ants or something, and it flies around and it's looking around. So it stays in this general vicinity, but it's kind of up in the tree canopy as it's keeping an eye on you, but also looking for that or worms or whatever it can find to eat. All right, so you guys are still about 200 yards to the north.
I'll pull out
just kind of
spear.
forward.
Yeah, I draw weapons, prepared for danger, and wait for the leader to lead us out.
Yeah, I'll tell everyone to kind of fan out a little bit and just do a slow approach.
Okay.
Scout's gonna basically jump into any. How much cover is it between us and like the column?
Yeah, you see various trees and bushes. You feel like you could maybe kind of move from cover to cover, but you do recognize that it is, it's probably 2 or 3 in the afternoon, so the sun is pretty much overhead. It is kind of in the daytime, so you can try, you'll be able to move from cover to cover, but sneaking up on it, you don't know. You're not sure. But you can if you wish.
Scout's gonna basically move into cover and move forward like maybe 15 feet in front of the party.
It's up to you.
Yeah. Do I need to make a stealth roll for that?
Yeah, are you going to try to stealth your way up there?
Yep.
Yep, go ahead. Make a stealth roll for me. And while we're waiting for that to come up, so we see Scout kind of using the terrain, definitely moved ahead of the group a little bit quicker than the others. The others have their weapons out, seem to be wary, seem to be moving in a spread out formation behind Scout, and Scout is moving quickly and from shadow to shadow, bush to bush as you move forward. So you get within 100 yards, still see nothing, no movement, no nothing else. Continue the approach.
I want to take a minute to listen to see if I hear anything that's not a forest noise, or if the noises of the forest have been silent.
Yeah, seems to be fairly normal. You hear the flapping of the raven here and there. You hear the wind, or not the wind, but you hear the breathing of your companions behind you, a few of them. You hear the clink of armor, though they're being fairly quiet, so it's not like it's going to carry very far. They're doing a pretty good job, but you're hearing little things here and there, a little creak of a leather, maybe a little sound of a scabbard hitting a leg. But nothing out of the ordinary. You hear the swaying of the wind through the trees. There's just a very slight breeze. Seems pretty tranquil.
Okay, Scout will signal all clear to Andre, and kind of with hand signals, kind of question if he wants to keep moving forward or not.
Yeah, I'll give the two fingers, carry on.
Cool. All right, so now we'll put it to where Scout, you get to this part where, as you can see at the top part of this, there doesn't seem to be a lot of cover for the rest of it. So you're probably about 20 yards out where the cover stops. And then you will be the first one that comes onto the map. Just assume that everybody else is kind of behind you. What square at the top of this map do you want to come in on? You can place your token anywhere you want. Or you can tell me and I can move it.
I think, hold on, I have to change my spool mode. Like, if you can move, Scout's gonna want to come in the top leftmost corner where all the branches are. It looks like it's basically a giant tree.
Yeah, over here in the right-hand corner is a tree. Yep.
Yeah,
it's not on the ground. Like all these tree branches are up in the air. But the tree trunk is mostly like right here.
Right. She's going to come basically putting the tree trunk between herself and I guess kind of come more from the closest position for herself and the large mound in the column. Yeah, a little bit more to the left, right about. Yeah, she's gonna come from there.
Okay.
And she's gonna kind of, as soon as she needs to break cover, she's gonna basically make like a low moving dash towards the trunk to get up against it.
Okay, so that'd be about there. Okay. All right. Yeah, seems pretty peaceful, seems pretty quiet.
All right, she's gonna go ahead and climb the tree, get up in the branches, see if the higher view will get her anything. If she doesn't see anything, she'll signal Andre that it's all clear for now.
Okay, well, you would know that if you're going to climb the tree, it's probably going to break your stealth. You sure you want to do that?
No. If it's going to break her stealth, she'll just stay. She'll look around. She doesn't see anything, then she'll signal to move forward.
Okay. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and have you do a perception check from the tree.
I missed the nat 20.
Almost, huh? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, pretty peaceful. You do see the column of stone to your right. It looks definitely like very old. It does have, even though it doesn't show it on the map as well, it's clear that it's overgrown. It looks like it's something that's been here for a while. You do notice another stone column that looks to be broken or sheared in some way towards the south. And every now and then you get like a little sparkle as if there, you realize that there's some water up on top of this little this little knoll of some sort, this raised hill. But other than that, it seems pretty peaceful.
All right. Andre kind of let him know that there's water above the knoll, and I don't see any threats.
All right. Yeah, Andrew will kind of continue forward to the base of this thing.
Okay. Yeah, so you guys can start moving your tokens now onto the map the way you would like, and you can kind of move them in probably within 30 feet-ish, get to that spot, and then once everybody has their spot kind of picked out, we'll give you some more stuff here. And you can control your Raven, Azer.
All right. I'll have him perch atop the column then, I think.
Okay. So, you good, Skull?
I'm good. I moved off to the right.
Oh, yep. Okay, I see you. Okay, so Andred and Iravel. That's your spot. Okay. Andred and Iravel, as you're pretty close to that column, you recognize that it looks like there is some carvings on it. And it looks like it might be words, but you're not, without really getting closer and taking a really good close look, you don't know if it's scratches or if it's carvings or, if it's letters or words or what it might be. But there's definitely some type of carving on that column.
And given that we haven't heard about any threats so far, I guess I'd take a closer look at it then.
Okay. Yeah, you can roll an investigation check. For the rest of you that are just keeping an eye out, it seems quiet. The wind dies down a slight bit. It kind of is fairly quiet, but you're kind of more in an open area. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. 16 is pretty good.
How tall does the column look?
It looks like it's about 20 feet tall. It's made of a stone that you haven't seen anywhere else. It's definitely a marble-like substance, but none of the buildings in Port Bastion were made of that. None of the mountains around here. You didn't see anybody's buildings or anything made of it. It's not a material you've seen here. It looks similar to some materials you've seen back home, but maybe that could just be a coincidence, or it just could be something that's similar but not the same. It definitely stands out as a different material that than most of the stuff you've seen while you've been here in Revonar.
Okay. I mentioned, yeah, I'll just say it. I have a grappling hook and rope if we need to get on top of this thing.
All right. Anybody else have anything they would like to do?
Did Aravel see if it said anything?
I'm gonna give him that here in just a second. So what you can see is Aravel is kind of going around the column and studying it pretty closely, and he's like dusting some of the stuff off, or he's moving like some of the plants that have grown up on it. You can tell he's really kind of gotten close and taking a look at it. I'm just giving everybody a chance to do any other stuff too.
How steep is this this knoll hill here?
Yeah, not very. It would be just considered like difficult terrain, so you can just scrabble up it. So it'd be like you would use 10 feet instead of 5 feet if you were moving up it. But it's nothing that requires like athletics or anything like that. It's just not too tough to get up.
Okay, I'll go up a bit then.
Okay. That portion there, so this whole area here is on a slight incline in the grassy area, and then the kind of the grass stops, and this is a little bit steeper, but not like dangerous steep. And you go up probably, you're about another 10-foot elevation once you're up on this part, or even up into this part. So it's only about another 10 feet up or so. And yeah, when you get up there, you can see just a very smooth, appears to be like a pond of some sort, water, and the water looks pretty clear, though you can't see anything at the bottom. It's like, for whatever reason, either it goes down so far that you can't see the bottom, or the way the water is reflecting the sky or something that you just don't see anything at the bottom. You don't even see the bottom at all.
While he's climbing up there, Scout's going to move over to the column with Israel
Okay.
and ask him, that's made here, brought here.
Sorry, what was that?
She's going to ask you, made here, brought here.
Yeah, I'm having trouble.
He's
Oh,
saying
Made here or brought here?
Yep.
I'm not sure. It doesn't look to be a type of stone that I've seen here before, though.
Yeah, and as you're looking at it, a few things are popping up as you're kind of looking around this. One of the things you see, Aravel, is you think you see something that's a name, and it looks like it's words that are telling either a story, or it's words that some type of sentence of something, and one that it's not that you recognize it, but it's clear that it's probably a name of something. You see this name, and I'll type it in chat.
Can I try to figure out what type of language this is that's written in?
You can try to do an investigation, sure. If you have that as one of your proficiencies.
I do, actually.
Okay.
And
Yep.
expertise.
Then you can make this check. This one requires you have the. Yeah, it's not one. It's not something you recognize. You can recognize that it's letters. You can recognize that it's a language, but not which one it is, and you're not able to decipher. I assume, Iravel, you keep looking as you see that.
Yes, and if possible, would I be able to use the equipment in my Cartographers Kit to copy down the letters, even if I don't know the meaning, just the shapes and everything?
Yeah. It would take you some time, but you certainly, you could begin to write all them down. So a few more things come up, and if somebody wants to do something while he's doing this, because I'm expecting that he's really investigating this thing, and this is like at least 10, 15 minutes of looking at this thing. So if there's something you want to do during that, definitely let me know. But a few more things seem to start to pop up. You start to think it's a language that maybe has things in common with other languages that you've read about or seen, since you're definitely have read a lot of books and you've seen a lot of old texts and you've done a lot of studying. It's similar to stuff you've seen, but it's definitely not exact. It's definitely different, but little things pop out. And one of the sentences, it's almost like a title maybe, or it's something about this Ara, A-R-A, and you're not sure on the exact translation, but it might be something like Lady Made of Water, or Lady from the Water, or maybe Lady in the Water, something like that.
I'm going to investigate the southern end down here where this other pillar is.
Okay.
Does it
I'm
look
gonna
like the other
move down
pillars
around
here?
these bushes over here.
Okay.
Scout's gonna start doing the same thing that Israel is doing, copying down all the writings on the column.
Okay, so you're keeping an eye on that. All right.
Pretty much.
Skull or Sir Klaus has moved there. Okay. Okay, so we know two people are really focused on the north column. What about you're moving a little bit, Andred and I get everybody's names. I always forget them already. Fahik. But what are you doing while this 15 minutes is kind of going on? Are you just keeping an eye on them, or you watching for other stuff? Are you checking other things out?
I'm watching just for something to approach, so I'm just kind of standing guard.
Like approach from
I'm,
outside of this area?
So think of somebody like standing sentry or as a scout. I'm just looking around in the area in case something starts to approach or pops up. So.
Okay. So like to the north, to the west, maybe a little to the south?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you're keeping an eye out. So you're not really keeping an eye on them so much as you're keeping an eye out.
I'm not interested in what they're doing. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to make sure something doesn't try to sneak up on us.
All right. And what about Andred?
I would like to move here to this lip
Okay.
and just kind of peer down into the water some more.
It's definitely a liquid. Maybe you're a little on edge because you can't see any type of ground or bottom anywhere on this. Even at the very edge, anywhere in this, it's like it's reflecting the sky above or the things around. You cannot see into the pool at all. And it's almost like glass smooth with just a few ripples from the wind every now and then, but it's a very smooth, very calm pond.
If that description has been relayed to the group, I can offer to cast Detect Magic once I'm done studying the pillar.
So, Arvel, you tell others that you've translated a piece of it?
Yes, I would. Once I heard about the lady in the water, lady from the water, and knowing that there is a pool up there, I would relay that to the group.
Okay. Yeah, so you guys hear in a little bit louder voice from Iravel that he can't quite translate it, but he thinks it's something like woman in water, woman made of water, or lady of water, lady from water, lady in the water, something like that. Something close to that translation. What about Sir Klaus? Tell me a little bit about what you're doing.
Well, I'm mostly doing guard duty as well, but just at a glance, this broken pillar, does it appear as if any of the broken parts are on the ground, or if there's any additional writing on this pillar?
It looks like there may have been writing previously, but the way that it's been sheared is that all the writing must have been on the top. You're only seeing the very bottoms of what must have been letters on the bottom portion, and the shearing of it is like something was able to cut through this column as smooth as if it was a knife going through butter.
He lifts his voice so that the others can hear. This column is cut unnaturally, though some time ago, I believe.
Scout's going to stop copying down the other column, and hearing all that, she's going to move up to the pool.
Okay. Yeah, you get up to this pool.
She's going to grab a stick or something, a twig or something she can find on the ground, and then she's going to squat down next to the pool on the north side.
Yep. Go ahead and move your token. Oh, you want me to? I can move it on the north side.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to do two things with one hand. Then she's gonna squat down on the edge of the pool and then just take the twig and just start and see if she can dip it into the pool.
Can I see Scout doing this?
Yes. You see him start to take a twig and start to put it into the water, and just as he's doing that, go ahead.
Can I hold a handout,
Yeah.
and put up the one finger and just
Yep.
wait 1 second?
Right, she freezes. I'm assuming you do it rapidly.
Yeah, I want to crouch down and I'll kind of have a spear, so I'm kind of kneeling, T-bowing or whatever in front of this lake, and I say, Our Lady of the Water, are we uninvited guests this day?
Yeah, and I don't see anything. You don't hear anything. Seems pretty peaceful. You do notice that the wind has kind of died down. There was just a slight breeze, and it seems fairly still. It's quiet, but nothing else.
Okay. At this, I want to pull out a gold coin and kind of hold it up to Scout, and I say, perhaps a better offering?
Scout shrugs and says, "Not offering. Hope."
I will chuckle and drop the coin in.
Okay. So you see this coin kind of reflect on the sunlight, and then it hits the water. And the minute it hits the water and goes through it, you do not see the coin after it hits the water. It's just like it's in the water, but it's gone, or whatever this liquid is, or whatever it is. You don't see it. You don't see the bottom. You don't see it resting there. It's just looks like it's disappeared.
Scout will nod and mention, "Not water."
It does splash, and it makes the normal splash sound, and you see a ripple across the top, but you do not see the coin. And
Shit.
now, for fun, everybody, we're going to select our tokens, and we're going to roll initiative.
But just for fun.
But just for fun, because we're playing D&D,
fun?
right?
Just for fun.
Normal. And let's do... let's make sure this is all set up the right way. That would be the first thing.
Ouch, that hurt. Did my eyes deceive me?
They may have. All right, so here's what's going to happen. Your scout did not quite roll high enough to see the things that lurk. Their stealth roll was better than that perception roll. But there's a reason for it. As we see very quickly, a few of you who are going to be surprised, actually. Let me move them to the layer here, and you will begin to see them. And then I will describe what you see.
Oh no, they were watching me the entire time.
So I'm just moving some stuff around, so give me just a second. All right. I think we'll put that over here so people can see it on the map like this. And now let me move back to objects and token. So, Revel probably, and Fahik, and probably Sir Klaus hear what sounds like the rustling of leaves. And as you begin to turn and as you begin to catch movement out of the corner of your eye, you see these creatures that look like they're made of leaves and branches and plant material of some sort. The ones that are up on the top looking at the water, your focus is there before you realize anything is happening. What's going to happen here is they were able to surprise you. They're going to get a free surprise round to act. And then when we hit second round, we will start at the top of the initiative order and we will go from there. So they will all get one free round of action first as we go through here. So we see these creatures begin to... You hear a whistle. Everybody would be alerted by that, and then these creatures begin to move as if they meld right out of the bushes and the trees around them. And so let's go ahead and start moving these things on. Now, we can have everybody make a history check with no advantage or anything, just a regular old normal history check to see if these are things you recognize or have ran into before.
Are they distinct enough for nature rolls?
This would be more like if you've either heard of them before in stories or if you've come across them in your travels before. Nature roll would be if you were examining their bodies or you had seen them like have really good, like a close-up look at them type thing. This is more of like at a snap glance are these things that you recognize or have heard of in some way. So it looks like Scout and Iravel. So Iravel has probably read about something like these before. Maybe Scout has seen something like this back in the Forgotten Realm area before. Maybe has seen something like this. You know them as, the word that comes to mind is a Vegapygmy. These are plant creatures that mostly made of plants. You guys got good high rolls, so... one of the things that you would know is they're really good at surprising people because that they're made of the plants and they're usually their bodies closely resemble the habitat they live in. You've also heard tell that they have some type of healing abilities. And though you have come across them before, you would not know much more about them than that. All right. So they move 20, 25. So all of them move into melee range. And let's go ahead and we'll start at the top and we'll move our way down. So we see this Vegapygmy kind of just basically meld out of the tree. It was up against the tree while you guys walked past it and around it. Never quite seeing it. It would have been that really cool scene with the camera where the audience would see the eye blink, but none of the characters would have noticed the eye blink. And it's, the browns and the greens of all of the terrain around you. And then it kind of starts moving, and we see this Iravel who's heard this noise, which is a whistle, is turning. There's a shape, a blurred green and brown shape coming at him, and it looks like it's going to use some just like clawed hands that are like sharpened wood of some sort, or it's just like their fingers are sharp branches, and it's reaching out to scrape across Iravel. So here's the first attack of the night. Yay! Here we go. And misses completely. Nicely done. So Iravel, tell us how this misses too. Is this like you were did something on purpose? You stumble and fall away, or what was because you're so surprised? How come this thing missed you so badly?
I will say that since I've had my raven perched atop the pillar there, that it might have caught it just a moment before I did, and Raven will have swooped down and just kind of knocked me just enough out of the way of the attack.
Yeah, I love it. So it grabs like your clothes on the top of your clothes, and it jerks your shoulder a little bit, and that's just enough as you see this wooden claw rake past, and you can hear the rustle of leaves as it goes past you. Perfect. I like it. All right, let's go to Fahik. Here comes a claw attack towards you as you begin to react. I assume a 7 does not get through your armor class?
It does not.
All right. Tell us. I won't always do this, but I like to start off with it, or I like to do it a little bit just to give people the idea. Tell us why it doesn't hit you. Is it because of your armor, or is it because you dodge, or what is it that makes it so it doesn't hit you?
In this case, it's because just as it's going in for the attack, Faik actually hears a little bit of it behind him, and he turns left, and the attack goes to the right where Faik had been. So just one of those coincidences where the rustling made him turn,
Yeah.
and he
okay.
moved out of the way as opposed to into the way.
Perfect. I like it. All right. Andred, to your back, a shape comes up from behind, tries to strike at you. Let's see what happens. Ooh, does a 23 hit, Andred?
It does indeed.
All right, let's see what kind of damage we're going to get. So 4 slashing damage as it gets through your armor, and it scrapes through kind of the back where your neck meets kind of the shoulder area. And some of the armor caught a little bit of it, but you have now like a line that's been dragged across your skin, and some blood has come out from there as you then begin to whirl around and then begin to fight this thing, weapons out. All right, last one to go down here for Sir Klaus. Here comes a claw mark, or a claw strike. 15. Will that hit?
No, that does not hit.
Awesome. Okay, so tell us why it doesn't hit, to give us a little bit of idea of how you fight. What is it that you did, or what is it that Sir Klaus did that it didn't hit him?
Since I was on guard, expecting, kind of not expecting, but waiting for something to happen, my years of training kind of kicked in, and I was able to take that 1/2 step back so that it just scraped across the chainmail and did not penetrate.
Awesome. All right, yeah, we hear the wood go across the different links, and it makes that kind of clinky sound, but it keeps you safe, and no damage has been done. All right, so that is their surprise round that they get to react on. We're now going to go to the top of the round, but there is one more thing that all of you recognize now once we're in action. Something else moves to the east. Something bigger comes out of a bush. And let me get this in the initiative order real quick.
Of course, they would have backup.
All right. So, oh, yeah, down at the bottom. Good. Nice. Okay. So, starting off, beginning to react is Andred first, the first one of the party to move, who's been slightly wounded. What would you like to do for your first turn?
So I will quickly try and strike out with my spear.
All right.
13?
13 is just enough to hit. Yes. Ooh, serious wound. All right. Though you've not fought these before, you see it kind of jerk away as your spear buries into it, and you look, you can see like sap and some type of liquid coming out of pretty grievous wound on it. You feel like you've hit it really hard.
Okay.
Anything
I will
else
go ahead
Andred
and,
would do?
I'll go ahead and offhand another spear.
Okay, bonus action offhand. So you have 2 spears, 1 in each hand?
I do.
Okay. 11 would not strike. It kind of dodges out of the way, realizing that these spears have hurt it. It ducks the second one.
All right, and then I will just take a side step here.
Okay. All right. Next up in the turn order is Fahik.
All right, I will use the javelin that I have out as well.
Okay.
And launch it at it.
Put that over here, I guess. So stab, or are you going to throw it from 5 feet away?
I'm going to actually throw it at it so that it'll be easier to draw my scimitar next.
Oh, okay. So 7, yeah. It as it starts to fly to it, it's so close that it's able just to bat it down before it really picks up speed and gets going.
Gotcha. All right, and then
Anything else?
can I draw my scimitar with my bonus action?
You can. You have a free interaction every turn,
Okay.
so you can draw a weapon with a free
Perfect.
interaction.
I will draw my scimitar then.
All right, cool. All right, turn order. That brings us to Scout. What does Scout do?
Scout's gonna kind of whirl around, see that Andre got attacked by a veggie pygmy. Take the stick she had earlier, she's gonna toss it over her shoulder, grab an arrow, pull it with the other hand. She's gonna pull out her short bow, notch an arrow, point it at the pygmy, wait till Andre takes a step to the side, and then let loose an arrow on it.
Okay. Oh, and tell me what your spear did for damage. What type of damage was that, Andred?
I believe spear is piercing, but
Piercing.
I'll double check.
Yeah, I think it's piercing.
Yeah, we can look in the compendium real quick. Okay.
Does a 12 hit?
A 12 misses. So it is in the process of dodging the second spear of Andred. And when it makes that dodge move, your arrow just unluckily timed just misses. Had it not been dodging that, you probably would have hit it. But the arrow flies off and then lands out here in the bot in like the eastern corner of the map.
Okay. Scout's gonna go ahead and under her breath and then basically like slide down the hill.
Okay, so any square that has the raised brown part is 10 feet of movement. All the other squares are 5 feet of movement. So just keep that in mind for your movement speeds.
Right.
And that's going up or down. It's considered difficult terrain.
He's basically going to spend 20 of her 30 feet to come right next to the column down here. And
Okay.
then as the... And does she have cunning action yet? I don't think I do. No, I don't. Okay. Never mind. That's all she can do.
All right, that brings us to Sir Klaus down in the south. What would you like to do?
I disengage.
Nice. All right, so no attack of opportunity. That allows you to move. All right.
I'm running to intersect this larger, more dangerous-looking creature.
Okay. Sweet. All right, so that's movement, action, probably no bonus action yet at first level, so that should bring us to Iravel. So you have this
First
thing
of
breathing
all-
down your neck.
Yep. I did forget to roll initiative for my Raven.
Oh, go ahead. You should be able to select its token, and then... Oh, you can just do a D20 roll, and I'll put it in the turn order for us. So just go ahead and do a
Okay.
D20 plus whatever its bonus is, and I'll throw it in. 16. All right. And it can go now, and I'll put it in the right order. So you can go ahead and say what it did on its turn.
Yeah, it would have just done the assist action to give me advantage on my next melee attack against this creature.
Okay. Or whoever attacks it next. So it's going to, it's going to do a help action on this creature so that whoever attacks it next gets that advantage. Okay. All right. So now it's your turn. So now it's distracted.
And I will go ahead and take a good old-fashioned swipe at it with my dagger.
All right. 16 does hit.
All right.
6 piercing damage as you draw a little bit of the sap out of it.
And if I can, I will shout out to the rest of the group that these things are capable of healing themselves, so make sure they stay dead.
Yeah. So you guys hear that shouted out. All right. Anything else from our wizard?
That is it for me on this turn.
All right. Vegapygmy turn. So the first thing that those of you that are near them see, Iravel would see it, and probably Andred would see it. Nobody else would see it. You do see some of the wounds that you put on these things begin to reconstitute itself, as if it's healing or it's regenerating in some way. That's the first thing it does. And, yep, gets that. Oh, don't double click that. Okay. And, yeah, Andred, you can see that most of the wounds you put on it has now almost completely healed. And now it's going to take a swipe. So it's going to take a swing at Iravel. Here comes a claw attack. 14.
14 misses.
All right. So we see you dodge out of the way, and maybe even the raven helps once again, distracting that creature. Then we see a claw attack towards Fahik. 17.
It just hits because I've got a 17 armor class. So.
Ooh, 8 slashing damage as it catches you.
All
Hey,
1 for Andred. Ooh, a 20. Uh-oh. 7 slashing damage. And then 1 is going to chase. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. A claw towards Sir Klaus. But only gets a 6. Doesn't even get close. It's not able to keep up with you as you head towards the other creature. And then that creature is going to bound around here. And then it sees Klaus coming, charging it. It's going to use its dash action to get to him. It won't be able to attack you this turn, but it's dashing around this kind of big, thick bush to get to you. And that is all it gets to do. That is their turn. Things are looking dire. Let's hope you guys pull it out. Andred is up, top of the order.
Okay, I'm going to bonus action second wind.
Okay. You go ahead and do that. Let's see what that roll looks like. Okay, so you get 3 hit points back.
Yep, not great.
you hear what sounds like a woman's voice that says to step back. And you have this feeling of you should step back towards the pond. Actually, like if you step back to the west right now, you would actually step right into the pond.
All right, you know what? I will say, may the dragon receive me today, and I will take that step.
All right, you make that 5-foot step to the west. Yeah, go ahead, and you're back to full hit points. As you feel when the water splashes onto you, just this soothing and tranquil feeling comes over your body. The weariness of the day is gone. The soreness of your muscles from walking for 2 days. The way your armor would dig in. All of that just seems like it's gone, and you feel refreshed, and there is no wounds upon you any longer.
Okay, and it is 10 for each one of the dark squares, right?
Correct.
Okay, so with renewed vigor and renewed mind, we're going to change up tactics a little bit here. I'm actually going to continue moving and step away from this guy.
Okay. Now, we'll get an attack of opportunity. Okay. It will happily and gleefully strike at you with its claws. Oh, a 23.
Oh, yeah, he got me.
5 slashing as you move away.
Can I get that far, or can I get any further?
Yeah, that'd be 5, 10, 15, 20. You could probably move one more square. Yeah. All right.
And then, can I go ahead and huck a javelin?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to throw it at the one next to Arabelle.
Okay. Fire away. 17 strikes it true. 4 piercing damage. Now, what most of you are starting to recognize as you're fighting these things is piercing damage is not doing so well against them. All right. Anything else from Andred?
That is all.
All right. Fahik, you're up.
All right. I'm going to go into rage.
Yes.
And I'm assuming I didn't see Andred get healed, so I will swing at this one with my scimitar.
Okay. Swing away. Critical hit.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Then it should add a +2 more for the rage.
Go ahead and describe what happens.
So the rage in Faik, it's like he was calm one moment and then welled up at the next. And actually at that moment that you see that rage, you can see the cracks in his skin. The light glows much brighter. And he swings, and the amount of force that goes through severs it from neck straight down through torso, separating the body, and the top half falls off, and then he kicks the lower torso to the ground to make it go as well.
Yeah, splits in half, and then it just seems like it coalesces into twigs, leaves, and sticks that don't even look like a body any longer. So you still have movement or bonus act. Oh, you use bonus action to rage, so you still have movement if you want to use it.
I am going to head 5, 10. Now, the other thing is an Earth Ganassi, I can move on stone and other surfaces without it. I've got what's called Earth Walk
Yeah.
and can
yeah.
move across difficult terrain without expending extra movement. So
Yep. So it's just all of these squares on this map are 5 feet for you.
up to this point here.
Awesome. Well done. Our Raven is up.
Okay. Once again, it is going to provide the help action against this veggie
So,
baby.
okay, so distracting this one. Perfect. All right, Scout. You see a lot of movement in battle. Lots of things are happening. What do you do?
I saw the giant, I'm guessing like monstrosity come around the corner and then head straight south, correct?
Yeah, you can still see a little bit of it, but it looked like it went south, and you knew that that was the way Sir Klaus went.
And we realized that Scout's gonna just take a moment to kind of think. She sees the Archanazi friend coming by. She's going to drop her bow, her short bow here where she's at, and then she's going to pull out a short sword and run at this pygmy up here, Thursville, and try to run it through with the short sword. See if
All
you
right,
can
yeah.
Clear that out fast.
22 strikes true. You can just click on the word short sword right there in chat there. It should roll the damage for you.
And because Israel is there, she's going to get sneak attack bonus.
Yep, should. So you get 5 piercing from the sword, and then you get to roll your sneak attack damage too. So it's -3.
Thought I clicked it.
Because you round down, so it's -2.
I guess I gotta manually roll that one.
You can set up the character sheets to eventually do it, but yeah, for now you can do a manual roll. There's either a dice icon over on the menu on the left, or you can type in /roll, 2d4, 1d4, whatever. Another 4 points of sneak attack.
All right, so that's 9 points total.
All
And,
right. It doesn't
finish your
quite
turn
go
by yelling
down, though it
Take
is
your
very
turn by
windy.
yelling out, Sir Klaus in trouble.
Okay. That brings us to Sir Klaus. Surrounded by enemies to the south. What do you do?
I'm not in trouble. So I move here
Alright.
and attacked this large creature with my axes.
All right. You get 1 attack of opportunity as you move. So we're going to swing a claw at you real quick.
Yeah.
21 hit?
That does actually hit.
Oh, okay. 3 slashing damage as you maneuver.
Okay.
And now, continue with what you'd like to do.
Two attacks with the axe, 8 and a 12.
Both miss. But let me check again. Yes. So you miss with one completely as it dodges away. The second one hits, but you recognize that it has its own kind of naturally hardened body, and you were not able to sink it in enough to damage it. So you struck it, but it was at such an angle that it did not do any damage to it. And this thing is like this, like a large, probably maybe the size of like a lion or a puma or a dire wolf size, but it's made of plant material, and it's definitely, you just get this image in your head of like a large plant dog almost, but it's huge, and it's just like got all kinds of spines all around it. Anything else from Sir Klaus?
No, that's everything.
Okay. That moves us to Iravel. You were up.
All right. You see Iravel move his hand along the blade of his dagger, and the blade itself seems to start shimmering with a vibrating energy. And as he strikes out at the veggie pygmy, he uses Booming Blade.
Okay. 15 strikes true.
Okay. So if it moves on its next turn, I didn't do the dagger damage, but if it moves on its next turn, it will take 1 point of thunder damage. I'll go ahead and roll the dagger damage now.
Okay. Ooh, +5, huh?
Yeah.
Crazy. That is enough to damage this thing, and it, as you stab it basically in the heart, all around where it was, it's like leaves and twigs and branches just fall to the ground, and it's like it's as if it never existed. It's just individual pieces of plant matter at your feet.
All right, in that case, I will start heading over into the rest of the fray.
Okay. All right. Oh, I totally forgot this guy. I should have moved him. He was mesmerized by the waters, I will say. All right. Now it's their turn. So that one's down. That one's down. I'm still going to chase the one that wounded it and wounded him. I probably should have done that in the original, so that would have been 10, 20. No, he's not going to be able to get there, so it has to go after Iravel, I believe. All right, so he's going to take a swipe at our spry wizard here running by. 21. Man, I've got the rolls tonight, guys. Sorry.
That does hit, unfortunately.
6 slashing.
Oh,
Okay.
And then we have one move up to try to corner Sir Klaus here. Here comes a claw attack from Sir Klaus, or to Sir Klaus. Oh, but it critically misses. I'm going to say it even hurt itself a little bit there. I'm going to give it a -1. As it breaks like part of a finger, a wooden finger smashes against your armor and has some trouble there. Lets out a little yipping sound. And then the other creature, you see its maw open up, and it's just like moss and jagged wooden spike-like teeth, and its breath smells of like loam and fresh dirt and deep forest kind of smells as it tries to bite you.
Kind of like my real dog.
yes, carrion smell. Does a 13 hit?
Does not hit.
All right, so it snaps and it misses, and it tries to get through your armor. Now you can tell right away that if this hits, it's going to hit a lot harder than these other things are, but your armor has held true thus far. All right, that is their turn. None of these... this one is healed, though. So let me fix that.
it broke its claw and then healed it the next turn.
All right, there we go. Okay, so we're back at the top of the round. We're into round number 3. Andred's up.
So, if I flip my spears around, they're essentially quarterstaffs, right?
They probably become more like an improvised weapon than they are. You have a pretty specific training to use them. If you're going to try to use them as like a bludgeoning object, you can, but they're going to be improvised, so they're not going to be as good as normal. But could work.
Okay, well, I see my Earth Genasi friend tearing over this no-hill, so I'm going to go to the aid of our wizard and see if I can't soften up this young green man over here.
Okay. And you can do some damage, you just realize it's not doing the full damage. So a 12, the first one misses, but the offhand one would hit, and it would get no bonus, but it would get the die roll. So an offhand hit doesn't get your...
I've got 2-weapon fighting.
Oh, okay. From the fighter feat?
I have the fighting style, which
Fighting
gives the
style.
bonus
There
to
you go.
damage. And
Okay.
then I also have the dual wielder feat.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So that is going to be this. All right. Yeah. So you strike across it slightly. A little bit of the green sap kind of starts to pour out of it as your second spear hits. Anything else?
That is it.
All right. Perfect. Brings us to Fahik. You are up.
All right. I'm going to cut over. Oh, I did something to my token there.
Can you still move it? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I could. I just had to pick it up. So I skirt the water and make my attack.
All right. So, but you do not step in it, correct?
Well, I'd like to because I saw the fact that it healed the other guy. I'm just trying to figure out if I actually would do it because no one let me know that it would heal me as I went through. So, yeah, the cheaty side of me says, of course I step into the water. The other side of me says, I don't know if I actually would with the way it is, so we'll just skirt it and not do it.
Yeah, as an Earth Genasi, can you swim?
That's, it doesn't say I can't swim, but yeah, I don't know. So,
You get flanking like that, I think, too.
what's that?
I think you get flanking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a variant rule. I don't really
Oh,
use
okay, right,
in
yeah.
5th. Yeah.
Okay.
But normally,
Oh,
I think,
we're not
yeah, if
using
we were playing
flanking?
3-5, we would. Yep, so you're, so I assume you're swinging your scimitar?
Yeah. There's some kind of lag, so I hit it twice, but
No
the
problem. First one
was-
hits, yep. You can go ahead and do damage.
And it'll be at a +2 because of the rage.
Go ahead and describe it.
All right. So this point, it's facing the opposite direction because it had engaged against Iravel and had also taken the spear damage. So at this point, I take it from behind. Similar motion this time, but straight through the neck.
Awesome. All right, that brings us to the Raven.
Okay, a little bit out of the way now. What is its movement?
Good question.
50 fly, so it can go a good distance then. It's 35 to get there. 45. I would stay just out of the way for now, over in the tree there.
All right. That would bring us to Scout. You were up.
Scout's gonna use her. Is gonna stow her short sword and move over to pick up her bow. I think that's 5 feet. Gives me 25. Um, and she's gonna move. So she goes here first, and then she moves over here. And that's gonna be it, since she had to use an action to pick up her bow. But she's gonna basically get in a position to start providing long range support.
Interaction could be just picking it up off the ground, so you'd still have your normal action.
Oh, all right. Well, I thought because I have to use an interaction to store the sword, right?
No, I think it's fine. I think
All right,
switching weapon is a interaction for me.
Okay. Yeah, and she's going to shoot the giant dog plant thing.
Yeah. All right. Fire away. Arrow goes whistling by, but then bypasses it and goes off into the woods.
And I'm down in there.
All right. I believe that would bring us to Sir Klaus now.
Just swing an axe in each one of them.
All right. Oh, one per? Okay. Which one's first and which one's second?
First one is the small guy.
Okay. So the 8 miss, but you get a critical axe hit on the second one, which is the large plant-like lion dog thing. Oof.
That's a good hit.
That is a good hit.
Nice.
You seem to have made it very mad.
Not dead, mad.
And you definitely have got its attention. Anything else from Sir Klaus?
Drew the aggro.
No, I'm good for now.
All right, Iravel's up.
Okay, seeing as I am now a little bit more than banged up, I'm going to keep my distance on this one and go ahead and let loose a barrage of magic missiles at the big guy.
All right, using all the good stuff.
Yep. So that's the first one, the second one, and the third one.
Nice, all hit, so for a total of 7. So tell us what what your magic missiles look like. It's the first time we got to see them, right?
No, we did see them in the last session, but this is the first time in this session.
Yep.
And I just basically kind of point my dagger out towards it, and you see the energy coalesce from the palm of my hand into the dagger, and then shoot out as 3 bolts that fly in various arcing angles to the target.
Nice, and it puts big gouges into it, and it definitely lets out a weird howl from the pain. Anything else from Iravel?
Probably because I haven't seen the full battlefield myself, just head up a little bit to give myself a better vantage point. But other than that, I'm keeping my distance for now.
All right. Looks like it might be my last chance to do anything here. Vegapygmy reaches out with its claws against Sir Klaus. Ooh, rakes him across his shoulder area for 7 slashing damage.
He claws Klaus.
Yes. And then the other creature tries to bite while you're distracted and while you're grabbing the wound. Why is he on? No, he's not on advantage. So just a 15, not a 21. Does a
just
15
barely
hit?
misses me.
Oof. Again, the shattering strength of these jaws snaps on your armor, but does not get through it to wound you. All right, so I think that is their turn. This one... let me look at one thing. Okay, so it would have got that. So let's put that back. And this one... Okay, so the one below you, which had taken a slight bit of damage before, seems to have fully healed itself now. You see some of the wounds on the larger one has begun to coalesce, but it's still pretty hurt. All right, back at the top of the round. Andred's up.
Before I head to the larger creature, I will say to our wizard, the Lady of the Water is here to aid us. Head to her waters quickly to help with your wounds. And I make sure to say it loudly. It's battle, you know, there's a lot of sound I want everyone to hear. And then I will run up next to Sir Klaus and see if I can help at all.
Okay. The 12 would miss, but the 18 would strike. All right. Again, you realize that your weapon has not done as much damage as you would like, but you do see a new wound that you put on it as you begin to slash at it. Anything else?
I am here for moral support.
All right. Fahik is up.
All right.
Wrecking
So this
ball.
time, hearing that the water's where I'm at, I will go south first to get to the water there, which is 10,
Mm-hmm.
and dip my toes because I'm not a huge fan of water.
Yeah. So you have a wet foot.
And then I will proceed 15, 20, 25, 30.
Yeah. Okay.
And strike at the big old nasty thing.
Nice.
And don't hit. So, all right.
Oh, and you hear like there's a new like looseness in the handle and your scimitar. It obviously will need to be fixed. It's going to be a -1 damage until you have it fixed. So write that down as a note for now.
Okay.
And
Man,
you do
that-
realize that your foot is wet, but nothing seemed to happen. You're thinking maybe Andred is losing his mind, or you don't know what's
Gotcha.
going on. All right, Raven's up.
Okay, seeing as how this thing has a lot of targets that are now trying to kill it, I think it's a little bit safer for the Raven to swoop in and provide assistance with that.
All right, whoever
Not
attacks
draw
it
too much
next,
attention to
yep,
itself.
will get advantage. Nicely done. Scout is up.
Scout will kind of raise an eyebrow at Andre's shouting and then move over here to slightly better positioning and take a shot. So
Yeah, this one would be at advantage.
Great.
So and critically hits. Nicely done.
Nice.
Go ahead and do your damage. Okay.
Let's see. 6 plus 4. That's 10 plus another 3, 13, and then 6. 16 points of damage.
Don't forget you double your sneak attack die as well.
Oh, I do? Oh,
Yes, all your dies get
no.
doubled on a crit.
19 points of damage. Piercing, unfortunately.
Yeah, so this time the arrow strikes true and appears to hit something that's in between a rib cage kind of area, side of the body area. There's something in there that when you hit it, it's almost like a bunch of spores release, and the whole structure of this creature just flops down to the ground, and it's just now pieces of plant material and branches and sticks and wood, and it's no longer moving at all.
Alright, and she's gonna shout, oh shit. Wait. Yes!
All right, the very quiet, the very non-talkative scout. Yeah, gets a victory shout. I like it. All right. Anything else from Scout?
I think
Okay, Sir Klaus, your friends have rallied. They're coming to your aid. What do you do?
Exactly as I planned. I double axed the little veggie pygmy to finish the last one off.
All right, swing away. 23 strikes, 17 will miss. Ooh. Go ahead and describe it. Just enough.
I just take both my axes and bring them across like an X to just lop its head off. One of the axes connects, but the second one doesn't, so it's a little spoiled.
Yeah, and then again, it just turns into pieces of branches and leaves and sticks and all kinds of natural parts, but it's just on the ground now. It's just like a pile of plant life, no longer moving, no longer doing anything. And then our scene goes quiet as all combat comes to an end.
Whew.
What does the group do?
The dragon has truly tested us today.
I mumble under my breath, step in the water, whatever.
Scout
Your wounds are not on your feet, friend.
I searched the plant creatures for anything of interest.
Sticks and leaves and some moss.
But they're interesting sticks.
Sure, maybe.
If I use nature, would uncover anything herbal?
You can try. No, it seems like it's no different than the bushes or the trees that are around you.
Okay.
I will send my raven to do another flyby of the area, make sure that there's nothing else heading towards us.
All right, you can do a perception check.
Alrighty. Double check.
Can I do one as well from the top of the mount here?
Yes, you may.
I am going to start to bind wounds.
Not a perceptive bird.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, you are sure nothing else is around. You feel very confident in that.
Scout's gonna whistle out and yell, give out an all clear, and then move to the lake and kind of kneel before it, and take a minute and pull out a coin herself, put it in her hand, and then just kind of put her hand into the lake and then let the coin fall inside.
Well, the first thing you notice is that when you're next to the lake is that you can now see the bottom.
Huh.
And then, yeah, so you put your hand in the water and you let the coin fall.
Yes, and she says hello as she does it.
Yeah, so your hand, you feel the coolness of the water, and then you let go of the coin, and you can see the coin sitting right at the on the kind of the sandy bottom of this little pond, and the water is now crystal clear.
I'd see if I know of any deities or gods that are tied to bodies of water, like lakes or some ponds or something like this.
In the circle, you could do a religion check if you're proficient in it. If you don't have proficiency in that, you wouldn't be able to recall.
Nope. Unfortunately, she can't.
If you do
Same.
bring that up, I do have proficiency in religion.
She'll mentioned God, goddess, pointing at the lake.
Attempt to recall any information about such deities.
Yeah, you can make a roll. You know of back in the Sword Coast, there is, I believe it is Eldath, if I'm remembering my Forgotten Realms deities correctly, is somebody who, let me do this. Oh, I didn't mean that to happen. Okay. Let me look that up real quick. I believe it is Eldath. That is the goddess of water. I should know this because I do a show with Jordan all the time, and Jordan does all these videos.
While you're looking that up, I think I would just say maybe she didn't like Faik's feet.
Cal's just gonna shrug and kind of wave at the group and start making a motion to take off some of her heavier items, like her backpack and stuff.
Yeah. One thing you would probably recite this like it came from a book, Iravel, that you would say that, Eldath, also known as the deity of peace, but also known as the Quiet One, or goddess of singing waters, goddess of waterfalls, springs, streams, pools, stillness, peace, quiet places, and guardians of druid groves. You would also know, is there anybody else? Water related. Umberly is the goddess of oceans, currents, waves, and sea winds. And is there anybody else that would match that? I think those are the two that would come to mind. Though you don't think the name Ara has ever been associated with either one of those.
All right, and I'll relay that information to the group. It may be some long-forgotten deity. These are unexplored lands, after all.
I believe these lands are supposed to have their own gods, so it could be one of them. Or we could be jumping to conclusions about the word that we see on the pillar and whatever strange thing Andrin has sensed, since he is the only one that has interacted with it.
Well, if you'll all permit me a little bit of time, I can cast Detect Magic and see if I can discern anything else about this body of water, although its effects seem to have faded after use.
I would nod, and then I would say, whoever she is, she's forgotten no longer. And I'll just kind of like place my palm on the top of the water and just do close my eyes for a second, and then stand up and head down the Knoll Hill and let Arabelle do their thing.
Yep. Your hand is wet. It is a cool, pretty clear water. Still remains fairly clear. You begin your ritual, and within 10 minutes, you have this ability to be able to detect magic around you. You do not see anything that seems to be magical here.
Whatever magical essence may have aided in your healing seems to have faded.
How deep is the pool?
Looking at the bottom, it doesn't look very deep. In fact, if you were to walk across it, your head would not go under, though it would probably come up to your shoulders or maybe even your neck, unless you're shorter. But it's probably anywhere from, right at the shore, it's just a few inches deep, to maybe 5.5 feet deep, as far as you can tell from the outer edge.
IRL, when your raven was perched on top of the pillar, did it see anything on top there?
I wasn't gazing through its eyes at the time, but I can ask it, and I'll call it over to speak to it and ask if it had spotted anything, any writing or inscriptions or symbols of the like.
Or objects?
Yeah, nothing on the top of the pillar. And actually, even if you guys were to stay longer and investigate some more, spend even a little bit more time, you might recognize over a few hours of searching around that there probably were more pillars around here, but they've either been taken down or stolen or destroyed. These are the only two that remain, though you can see like indentions or impressions where the others may have set in. The only other thing you get more from reading some of the inscriptions or trying to decipher the inscriptions, Iravel, is you do think at some point you see the sentence Shrine of Ara, A-R-A. But nothing else as far as the rest of the lettering or the rest of the sentences here. And nothing else happens to you throughout the day. As it wanes into the sun going down, it seems like it's just a forgotten place at this point, is no matter how much more you search or look around. You think you've found about as much as you think you're going to find.
While Aravel's doing that, I checked through the bushes and the trees, just because that's where all the other things seem to have come from, in case there's anything there, and then collect some firewood while we're at it and cook up lunch.
Yep, don't find anything in the trees. They all seem to be normal. They don't even seem to have any damage to them. You don't find any like campsites or anything that's been disturbed. Whatever these creatures did, they just hid here. You don't even find tracks of them. And yeah, that's about it.
Scout,
I did want to say, oh, go ahead.
To say, Scout, as soon as you see that his friend is starting the camp looking for firewood, he's gonna go out and hunt for something to eat, to cook.
Okay.
And during our exploration of the area, I would have also very, very carefully not to do anything that would offend whatever god or goddess is here. Tread into the water and just search along the floor for anything, any symbols or stonework that might have been covered up by dirt over the years.
Yep. Nope. The one thing you just notice is that the water remains crystal clear. You can see your footprints moving across. It's a soft sand bottom to it, but you don't find anything as you move around it. And even searching for hours around this, 3-4 hours later, nothing else seems to happen. You guys have your lunch and you have your meal, and the sun begins to set in the west.
While they were doing their other searching, I would have come down to the southwest here and searched these large stones just to see if there's anything on them, under them, or around them.
Nope. There's they look like natural rocks. They don't look like anything man-made or creature-made or even made in any way. Just similar to the types of rocky formation that's around the pool itself, but the same kind of stone, but nothing that seems not natural.
Andrew would kind of put his hand up and feel at his neck. He has a deep, like, rope burn scar that goes all the way around his neck. Is it still there?
No, it is gone.
Interesting. He will rub at it as he's accustomed to and just a bit baffled.
All right, and with that, I don't know how long you would stay here, but nothing else will happen. I mean, how many more days would you camp here before you decide it's time to go?
Yeah, honestly, I think just
Yeah.
the day would be enough.
Yeah, Scout's gonna add this to her personal map.
Okay.
And label it the Shrine of Ara.
Yeah, I do the same.
Okay. So you make your way back, and it's an uneventful trip. Now, the thing you see, which is interesting, but you feel like you're going to get back to town first, is while you're up, heading down around, you have a look at the coast, and you think you might see what appears to be a shipwreck on the beach, quite a few miles north, almost the northmost part of the beach near the mountains. You will be able to mark it on your map so that you will know that you can find your way back to it if you wish. You make it back into town, and you're greeted by the town guard as the gates open up, and you head back in. You guys were only gone for the 4 days, so that is 5 silver per day for rations to refill your rations. So you can go ahead and mark that off as far as when you get back, you refill your rations so you're ready for your next expedition. And then you need to make a decision. Do you tell Rula about the shrine? And do you tell Rula about the shipwreck that you saw? Or do you keep it to yourself? And that's a group decision.
SirLucien once again doesn't see any reason to withhold this information.
Yeah, Andrew agrees. If not for the information of others, he would not have received Ara's blessing. So he sees that as a sign to share what he's learned.
Yeah, I'm inclined to say that we can share the information about the shrine. If its magical benefits do recharge, then it could be a boon to others in their travels. But as for the shipwreck, I'm inclined to say that we might keep that for ourselves so that others don't get to the loot first, so to speak.
Faik supports keeping the shipwreck secret.
SirLucien, of course, will speak up and say, but if this is a recent wreck, there could be those that are hurt and need help. The sooner that people get out there and help, the better.
Would we have been able to have any indication from a distance as to how new or old the ship was?
The person who saw it, it was right on the edge of being able to see it, and it was so far out of range that it would take an expedition to go out to it to know any further details.
Scout's gonna shrug and then point at, I guess, Irivel, and basically like poke him in the chest and say, "So."
It's fair enough.
It's up to you guys. You get paid for giving information, and you get XP for giving information. So keep that in mind. But, maybe there could be a big treasure in the hold. Who knows? It's up to you. It's supposed to entice you. You got to make the decision.
It's 3-2 at this point, so.
Yeah.
Scout, if we're going to sell it, she wants max profit. That's all she wants.
All right, so you do tell Rula then, is what I'm hearing. And so our person who made the rumor roll, which was the very last roll we made, Rula hands you 25 gold for giving that information, and she marks it on the table with her own dagger, draws it in. The other thing you find out from Rula, that it is true that this land was filled with its own gods and goddesses, and only now, with the Temple of Helm being here, has some of the Sword Coast deities started kind of making their way this, or at least the believers of that. But she has heard tales of other gods and goddesses being found here, and even tells you a story of a shrine that's north, which you guys have seen on the map. It's on the beach area. That shrine was a local goddess of still waters that the original adventuring party heroes had cleared out after it had been defiled by, and she says, some vegapygmies. And apparently these creatures, she tells you, have the rumors are, or the stories that have been told, is that these creatures are in league with some druid, some evil druid, who has sent these things out to destroy the shrines and temples and places of worship of the old gods. So XP for everybody. So for the evening and the adventure, everybody would get 100 XP for their character, first of all. And then our Navigator, having passed successfully and got your party there and back on time, you also receive a bonus 25 XP. Our Forager, for being able to find something that you could sell back and make money for the group, you also get 25 XP for successfully getting something to sell in town. Our Vanguard, our person who was watching for danger, made sure that you were never ambushed and you were able to make an ally while you were out on your expedition. You receive 25 XP for yourself. And our Rumor, because you told Rula about it, not only did you get the 25 gold for the shipwreck, you also get 50 XP for your character.
Hey, that kicks me to level 2 tonight.
All right.
And I will divide the 20 gold I got from the long ball amongst the groups. That's 4 gold for everybody.
All right.
Yay, thank you.
Was the
I'll
other
divide
25 split up too? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. So everyone gets 9 total.
Sweet.
That's
So,
9 gold total.
oh, go ahead. So that will be our adventure for tonight. I'll leave my group here for a second, but what we'll do is we'll go ahead and kick the stream off. We're hitting it right at 11:30, which is the perfect time. And we had a wonderful adventure, and this group of people were great. I thought they worked well together. They were cautious. They were curious. They worked well. They didn't panic too much after that first round, although it was looking a little sketchy there for a minute or two. Yeah, my rolls were really good tonight, but you guys did a really good job of coming out of it. So you did awesome. I hope all of you had a wonderful time and that you'll be able to go on more expeditions either with each other or more players that are on the Discord. If you're out in the Twitch land and you're watching this and thinking, man, it'd be super cool if I could play in one of those games, you could play too. Or if you're watching this on YouTube several days later and you think, I would really want to play with either these cool players or even that GM who's struggling his way through all these screens he's got open, you too could do that. You can send me an email at seekingrevonar@gmail.com. If you send that to me and let me know that you're interested, I will send you the information that will get you started and set up. Currently, I only have 1 or 2 slots for this month to run some games, but I know by the time I hit October, November, and that nice wintry December, I'm going to start opening up a bunch of more slots. So there's going to be a bunch more nights I'm going to be running them. I'll do some weekend ones. I'll do some midday ones. I'll do some evening ones. We'll do some holiday ones. So there'll be plenty of time for more people to find a spot and run an expedition in the near future. So don't fret if you don't get to play this month or in the next week or two. There's going to be plenty more spots coming up. And if it keeps going well and all my rules work out the way they do, I might even bring in some guest GMs to run additional games as I tell them all the cool stuff that's going on in Revonar and have them help me run some games. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe that's too much. Maybe I'm trying to do too much at once. We will see how it goes. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you for all my players. You guys can all definitely, I hope you brag about your adventure on Discord and tell all those other adventurers the cool stuff that you did. The person who did the rumor roll, for your 50 XP to be official, you must post in the lovely coin a scene of you bragging about the adventure or telling somebody in the inn about the adventure in some story-like manner, some RP type manner, just to add flavor to it for your 50 XP to be official. That gives us a way to all of the groups and all of the players to interact with each other and share stories. So, all right, I'm going to kick off the stream. Thanks for coming to twitch.tv/SirLucien. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/SirLucien. And my Twitter is @SirLucienGaming, all one word. You can always check me out or send me messages on any one of those platforms. I hope you'd see you in the next one. Our next game will be next Monday, or this coming Monday at 8:30, as our Monster Squad goes back out and takes on something that nearly wiped them out on this last Monday, and see how far they can get. So hopefully everybody had great. I will see you in the next game. And thanks, players. Bye.